Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is India on behalf of Genbook. We're so excited to be presenting you with this webinar. For those of you that haven't heard of Genbook, we're an all-in-one online booking and business management solution on a mission to remove distractions for entrepreneurs in hair, beauty, and wellness. We will help you achieve your greatest results by supporting you with all the tools you need to run your modern business with ease, like 24/7 online booking, client management, no-show protection, easy and secure payment processing, marketing, and automatic reputation building. So we're going to get started in just a minute. So drop a comment in the chat, say hello to our panelists, let us know where you're joining from. And I'll be taking a step back in just a minute and handing over to our host. I'm going to get things started by introducing you to our incredible panelists, and then I will be handing you off to unpack these amazing, valuable hacks and insights. All right, so we'll get started with Lexi Lomax. Lexi is a salon owner of over 14 years, a lover of all things beauty, an industry educator, podcaster, stylist, business coach, and strategies expert, as well as a licensed cosmetologist that also works behind the chair. She loves figuring it out, finding solutions, and making this hard stuff easy. She's most passionate about sharing her secrets to achieving success and helping other women meet their goals in the beauty industry. Next, we have got Britt Carmichael, named Beauty Guru by Behind the Chair. Britt offers powerful inside-out transformations in her luxury vegan hair salon, Oh My God Hairstyles in Frisco, Texas. She's also known for her inspiring impact in her online community, Shine Tribe Sisterhood, intuitive insights for her famous Woo Woo Wednesday tarot readings, or catch her hosting a local goddess gathering where Britt guides women through meditations, release rituals, and intention setting. And finally, we've got Cynthia Baker, CEO and founder of Saga House, a social media agency who represents brands, celebs, influencers, and athletes with up to 3.8 million followers. Known as the behind-the-scenes social queen, plus with her vast experience in the beauty industry, Cynthia Baker shares her knowledge around the world on building a social ROI and teaching companies, salons, and hairstylists how to take their social presence to the next level. And last but not least, we've got our fabulous host, Olivia Smalley, trend savvy, nimble, and well-connected. Olivia, your personal beauty bestie, has years of experience in business as well as a social media following of over 177,000, I might add, that actively seeks beauty content and information. So don't forget to follow us on social for great insights and content and events like this, and keep the conversation going. All right, so welcome everyone. And I'm just going to hand off to Olivia for you to kick off this conversation.
Thank you so much, India, and I appreciate all of those introductions. These ladies are more than qualified to be on this panel. So the fact that I'm hosting it, I really appreciate you girls being here. And thank you, Genbook, for having me. Guys, we have some awesome questions lined up for all of these girls today. And my personal questions, Genbook's questions, right? But you can actually also put your questions in the chat box. So we'll have a time at the end of the show to answer your personalized questions. Girls, are you ready?
Yes.
Ready.
Fantastic. So getting right into the questions, I am curious. I'm going to start with Lexi on this one. Summer's coming up. What trends have you observed and what trends are you predicting in the hair and beauty space for the rest of the year?
Oh man. Okay. So I think we are in like a kind of a funky spot, like via fashion because of, the pandemic. And so everything has gotten like really relaxed and casual. And, I love elastic pants now, where like I never did before. And I think that fashion often drives what we do in the salon. And so I think that we're all embracing our natural texture more and more, which I am so appreciative of. Like, put the flat iron down for me, and I'm letting my curls show up. And I love that. And also I think, eventually, maybe by the end of the year, we'll want to be a little tidied up, a little bit more sleek, and perhaps figure out what those styles will look like by the time we get, through summer and all of that. I think we'll want to be a little fancier because we're getting back to normal. And so that's kind of my prediction. That's just a one woman thought, but I think that's like embracing natural texture, and then we'll move back maybe into some sleeker styles.
I love that. Britt, do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that I've decided that I'm bringing back in my world is the feather trend. So it's been about 10 years since that feather trend hit, and I host women's retreats, and at the retreat, I always attract so many hairdressers, and one of them brought her feathers and started putting them in all the girls' hair. And to see the women light up and to see it invoke like this essence of like girl power and goddess, it just reminded me like it's little things like that you can bring to your business that can up your profit and also like make a bigger impact with your client relationship. So I'm bringing feathers back, baby.
I love what you just said about also upping, because what ends up happening is we don't want to work longer hours. We just want to make more money while we're there during those hours. So I love that as advice for an add-on service. I'm going to hit it off to Cynthia. Cynthia, what are your hacks for the latest social trends, Reels, TikToks, IGTV, etc.?
So many. I have like a long list, but I would say my most frequently used hack would be that when you are creating a reel, for example, there's different music opportunities on each platform. So if it's Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. And so what I do, for example, is make sure that either mine or my client's reel is on, I create the first reel in Instagram, and then use that exact music from Instagram. And then I save it. I then go into Splice and I extract that reel. And then I add not like royalty-free music for Facebook, because Facebook, if try to rock some Justin Timberlake, they're going to catch you. So I try to do something that's royalty-free, download that, save it, upload that to Facebook. So same reel, different music. Then I go into TikTok. Same thing. I take the muted version of that reel with no logos, upload that to TikTok, but using TikTok's music. And so it's almost like this little circle effect to make sure that I maximize for every platform. But one more little hack that I love, many times what you want to do for TikTok is use the trending songs, but the trending songs might not match your brand, or maybe they have curse words and that's not you. So what you can do is you can still select the trending song, but turn the volume down to 0. And what it'll do, it'll still pick it up for the algorithm. So I would say that's another fun little hack.
Wow, snaps, Cynthia, all over the place. You guys absolutely love this already. And make sure you drop some comments and keep asking questions. I love them. Moving on to the next one, Lexi, this is for you. There's been a lot of changes in the hair and beauty recent years. Have you adapted to the change? And if you do, and if you have, how do you manage the stress that comes along with that?
Yeah, so absolutely. I think at this point we are all like Gumby, right? Like if you're not flexible by now, like you're probably like, I don't know how you're making it through every day. But yeah, the recent changes we've had, like pandemic aside, like the industry is just different, right? I own a hair salon in San Diego, and the way we work is different. The kind of services that we're offering are different. It's not as straightforward as just like a mohawk section and a couple foils on the sides. Like how we're working is just everything in our business, I think, has changed in the last 5 years, 6, 7, maybe. And it's been really cool to see that happen. But the thing about managing your stress is really all about, for me, comes down to clarity, and what you're doing in your business must be intentional. And so whether that's actually like taking a really clean section and working systematically on your client's head, on your canvas, that's one way that you can be intentional and release stress. I think just having a plan and executing that way. And then additionally in your business, I think you must have a plan. You must know where you're headed. You can't just say, I'm going to make 6 figures this year and that's all you do. Like that doesn't work. You need to have a system behind it and really set yourself up for success with a little bit of like forethought and really being intentional about it. And I think that we always are going to have things that come up, being, you know, independent businesses or even working in a commission salon, working with people the way that we do so intimately. There's always going to be things that come up that are stressors, or there's, you know, there's always going to be stuff. So you really have to mitigate your stress by having a plan and knowing like your own personal boundaries within your business. And to me, that's the only thing that's gotten me through the last 14 years of salon ownership.
I like that word, mitigate. I absolutely agree. And I imagine you, Britt, you could add on just like one really good tip for people that maybe feel like they're under so much stress. What would that be?
Yeah, I think boundaries was the word that stood out for me. And most women standing behind the chair or men are healers, are empaths, are sensitive, and we pick up on other people's emotions. And with the stress of everyone else's lives going crazy, like the salon is a safe haven for clients, and because of that, they pour out everything, all their emotions. And so I think my tip and advice is to set up that energetic boundary by imagining like an energetic clear wall between you and your client, and you're listening to what they're saying, but you're not absorbing it. And I think you guys know what I'm saying by that. And so it's really important for you to like say, hey, I hear you and I have compassion for your story. But as an empath, we're not going to heal their problems by taking it onto ourselves. We just bring that energy home and we feel drained and overwhelmed. So for me, whenever I leave the salon, I sage it, I spray some spray, I do a little hand ritual motion, like I am leaving this here. Thank you very much for trusting me. But when I go home, I am Brittany Carmichael. I'm not like your hairdresser. I'm not your coach or whatever. Like I need to be me. And so for me, it's like creating that intention and that energetic boundary of saying like, this is yours and I don't want it. But
that is a beautiful, beautiful answer, Britt. And someone actually gave me advice once to wash my hands after every single client. Yes. And I loved that because they basically say, okay, you are refreshing and you are we should be washing our hands anyways. Don't get but every time to just have that safety net of like letting it go, right? Because we really soak up other people. That's why we're in this industry. We care. We love other people and we all want to save everybody, but you're right. Just not putting that energy into your system. If I could just offer a little bit of advice, something that I've actually done in the past 3 weeks was I'm actually detoxing off of coffee right now, which is really, really, really hard. And I started to notice that I was getting a lot of anxiety because, you know, I have a big to-do list of things that I had to do, but the common denominator for my anxiety was not my tasks. It was the delivery system of coffee. So I was drinking cold brew, and basically how coffee hits you is like this. And when you're already getting yourself awake in the morning, and then all of a sudden, could you imagine somebody just knocks you into a wall and you're kind of tired? So I've actually been just drinking like matcha and green tea. And I've noticed because it's a more clean energy that it's being delivered softly to help me wake up. So maybe that can help you guys out because I think we all drink coffee and we probably abuse coffee. But if you're looking for something a little bit different, or maybe to just switch it up instead of like 3 cups a day, add some green tea and matcha, and it'll actually just help you detox off of that. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Moving on to our next one. I love this one, this question for you, Cynthia. How do you get over writer's block or analysis paralysis? And you know I love that word so much, to decide what to post on social media?
I'm so glad you asked this question because it happens all the time. I call it Insta block, where I'm like, what am I saying? What does this color look like? Because many times, again, we post on behalf of brands, different companies, and we want to be creative. And sometimes we find ourselves saying the same thing or the same words. And when we notice that pattern, we're like, whoa, 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 we got to switch it up. So I default to Pinterest. And I use Pinterest as my inspiration. And so if I'm looking at a picture or a video on this needs to go up, I start to think of the copy and I'm like, okay, what is this person saying? And so I will go to Pinterest and type in, sassy attitude for blue hair. I don't know, I just make things up and it's funny. I'll get some good stuff. But I also try to turn that into engagement so I can ask the audience questions. Like, how would you describe, like most recently, on a caption for Joico, I put what does yellow mean to you? And the color was, her hair was yellow. And then I put like 6 items, and then I put other. And then people were like, all the above, or this or that. And now you have like instant interaction. So whenever I get an analysis paralysis, I ask the audience what they think.
I love that. That is such great advice. And analysis paralysis is so real. And I think the first step of analysis paralysis is realizing that you're having it, right? To be like, I'm overthinking this so much that I'm not just doing anything at all. So to hold yourself accountable for it, and then to actually realize what is going on, is the one way to help you to move forward. Great, great, great answer. Britt, I'm going to actually ask you this question because I know you do a lot of video, is why does video play such a big part in the hair and beauty industry?
Oh my gosh, hair is like a living canvas, and like everyone's trying to capture the perfect photo with the perfect lining of the hair. And every time it's like, that doesn't really work very well. So first and foremost, video shows off your work better. Second, it plays to the algorithm. We all know video and reels are taking off and exploding. People's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. And so these like quick clips and reels really just captivate people and bring them in and get them interested in your work and your story. So for me, I think videos are so important because they make you a real person. They let people into your world. And the more authentic you can be on video, the more people will love you. And you talk about writer's block. So many people have a fear of getting on video, but I mean, just start. My first videos were horrible. They were filmed vertically and I was stuttering and I had the worst comments ever. Like, oh gosh, this is the worst way to start a YouTube channel, but I just kept going. And I think that's the most important thing. We all know video is important, but if you're stuck on that, like, I want to start, but I'm afraid, or I'm overthinking, just like start with something. And if it sucks, it's okay. You can post again and no one will look, no one will see. And in 6 months, you'll be creating something new because you'll be inspired to get better every single time. My first haircut was awful. It was awful, but it got better, with practice. Same with video. So just start.
And just start is just such great advice, because what ends up happening is, even I chuck up the fact that I was really shy, guys. Like when I was like a teenager, I was outgoing, but I was still shy. You know what I mean? But it was only until I saw, you don't recognize that person on camera. This is not normal to talk to your camera. But you know what? I chuck up my ability to speak from stories, because what do you do when you hate it? You re-record it and you re-record it. So it's almost a practice of like an improv through stories. So that is my best advice, to be able to get used to yourself on camera. And then also, I would rather consistency than perfection. So I think that is a huge thing, Britt. Thank you so much for that. So moving on to the next question, how do you monetize social media for service industries? I'm gonna pass this one over to Lexi. Do you have any advice?
Yeah. So how do you monetize social media for us as beauty professionals? So I think that it's the largest tool that we have in order to, like if you don't monetize it, you're blowing it, right? Because even when we say monetize, like that's how do you create revenue from it? So I think you're using it to post, to share. It's your portfolio. It's where people can find you. But if you don't have a book now, if you don't have a highlight that says, this is how you book with me, and this is what to expect in your appointment, like it's literally, it can be your website. Like you don't have to have a website if you utilize your Instagram profile and your links and things appropriately. And you could monetize that into doubling your clientele. You can certainly use it to sell retail, and you don't have to have a swipe up to sell on Instagram. I mean, you can use affiliate links or direct links to, like if your salon has an online store and things like that. And it's such a powerful tool, and not just on Instagram, anywhere, because you're in essence sharing and serving your clients through video posts, like little pictures, whatever collages that you create. that share about the thing that you are presenting to them, right, as a solution. So on average, it takes 17 to 22 touch points for someone to be moved to buy. So that means you can literally post about like a dry shampoo 17 times before somebody's like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to buy that. So you can really do it in not a sleazy way, but you can monetize with social media mostly via sharing, I think.
I like what you were just saying about touch points and also utilizing booking apps. So Genbook actually, when we were having this conversation, they told me that 60% of people actually book offline, meaning like not during business hours. So
Exactly.
could you imagine that you could be almost doubling your business, right? By just using a booking source. You can use the touch points of the booking, because you could put it in your swipe up if you have more than 10,000 followers. You could put it on your link in bio. There are so many different areas in order for you to really rekindle and monetize. If you're not on social media, right, you're only getting clients a certain way. And that's why when we are online, it has to be purposeful. And I know, Cynthia, you can kind of talk a little bit about this. How can you be purposeful on social media? You are a strategist, because she's my strategist. I don't know if you guys know that, but Cynthia and I have actually been working together since October on OMG Artistry's strategy. Yeah. And Cynthia, please just give us some advice on that and how you do that.
Yeah, definitely. I myself, I'm a hairdresser before I went corporate in our industry. And when I look at the lens of social, we have to look at it as this is the modern day lookbook for our clients to look at. So how many times, I know I do this myself when I go to get my nails done and I'm like, which design do I want? And I'm looking at Instagram. And then I go into my nail tech and I'm like, I want this, right? And hopefully it'll come out the same way. Or if that nail tech is local to me, then I'll just book it with that specific nail tech if I can get in. And so people are looking at our Instagram as we're almost doing that impressions on if they're going to make a buying decision. Right. And so think of it like a digital window, like a digital window shopping, where you're like, ooh, every time you do a post, or like, should I go pink because Britt looks really cute in pink hair? Or should I do a balayage? Like they're thinking and they're planning already. And the other part of that is try to use social media as a tool within your everyday salon life. As an example, if someone calls into the salon and they want to book an appointment, then you can do everything you do as you book an appointment, but then tell them like, hey, go to our Instagram and look at for your consultation prep and look at the different colors or haircuts or styles that you love, bookmark them. This helps the algorithm. And then when you're ready for your consultations, we'll go through each of those. Right. So use social media also as your tool to help build not just your following, because if they're bookmarking, it's growing your social presence, but they're also going to do that the next time organically on their own.
Oh, that's awesome. That is such great advice. Lexi, do you want to add in a little something?
Yeah, just as Cynthia was saying that, I'm like, also monetizing can be like taking time back and you creating more revenue with the time that you're spending not dealing with booking clients. And so like utilizing social media to have them be able to book now or lead them to wherever you use your, you have online booking. Like that's a great way for you to monetize in a kind of like abstract way, but really not spending time on that is either letting you have free time in your life or allowing you to actually do your craft and make money there without having like basically you're working less.
Oh, and you know what? Just as you were saying that, Lexi, I know you're really good at like business planning. You're also really, just from the conversations that you and I have had, but what are your top tips for business planning systems and just being organized all over?
Well, I think it comes down to one very simple question that is not always easy to answer, but it is, what is the point? Like with everything that you do in your business, in your beauty business, it's got to be intentional to one specific outcome. So if you're building your clientele, we need a number. We want to make sure that we are speaking to those clients, whether that's in the salon, online, in any way, like any communication you have with them, digitally, and everything needs to be about growing your clientele. If you're looking to sell retail, everything needs to be about selling retail. You know, it's really about having a plan and making sure that every single thing you're doing is getting you closer to that goal.
Oh, great, fantastic answer. Britt, do you want to kind of key in on that as well? How you run your salon?
Yeah, I mean, I've been with Genbook for over 10 years, and that was like my first assistant that didn't cost a lot of money, that freed up so much of my time. And honestly, as a creative, the back end of the business is not what we are, one, taught in traditional beauty school, or at least it wasn't in my little like janky, janky school. Um, and like, I don't want to be on the phone, like hearing about your kid's freaking soccer game and like, just get on the calendar. And so for me, I just 100% agree with what everyone is saying, is like, where are ways that you can shortcut and not have to, and automate, so that you don't have to be present to do the parts that you don't like, whether that be delegate to a system like Genbook, which has been my favorite because it does all the things. It like takes me off the phone and collects reviews. Like, yes, like amazing marketing tool. So for me, that was it. I spent so much time on the phone. I'd be in the car calling people back while my husband was driving, and I'm like on my calendar. He's like, when do I get to hang out with you? And that's in the beginning of my business. And I was like, okay, we've got to figure something out. So for me, it was, those systems like, how do you not have to return 8,000 phone calls? And so setting up that system from the beginning and teaching your clients, you teach your clients how to treat you. Essentially, it's the same with people in general, but same when you own a business. My clients don't call me at 3 a.m. for a hair appointment the next day. My clients don't text me and say, hey, can we do this? No, they know. Come in, book your appointment, sit down, we'll do, I can work whatever magic. I don't need preparation. Like, let's just do it. And so that's just my take on it, is like, set up your systems from the beginning, let your clients know what you expect out of them, hold them to that standard. And then, I don't know, like, then you have time to have life, then you have time to live.
It's funny. One of my good girlfriends is actually a dog trainer, and she says, either your dog trains you or you train your dog. And that's the same thing with our clients. Like, they'll either train us or we will train them. So I like what you just said. And I know you had mentioned the word boundaries before, and I feel like this is the year of boundaries. Tell me I'm wrong, right? I think since we've come back, it has changed everything, because when you are on that hamster wheel and you're just going, and you're like living up here all the time, and somebody comes at you, you're just like, okay, like, yeah, okay, because you don't want to deal, right? You don't want to deal in that moment. But when you take that step back and you just stopped, I think we all started to say, what do I like and what do I not like? Because now these clients were being reintroduced back into your life, and you started to see these things through your self-awareness and through the situations at hand. So I think that kind of reset was just such a beautiful situation to say, I like this, but I don't like this. So how can I change me in order to change the situation? So Britt, girl, hit it out of the park. So shifting gears a little bit, let's talk a little bit about branding, which I love branding. So I'm going to go to the guru herself, Cynthia. What are your top tips for finding your niche and branding right on social media and beyond?
Well, I think from the very top of this is really what Lexi said about what is the point. And so if someone were to come to me and say, I want to redo my social, or where do I start? The first thing I would say is, who's your audience? You have to identify who that audience is. And many times as hairdressers, we think it's fellow hairdressers, right? We want to show like editorial work or, balayage techniques and et cetera, et cetera. And many times our consumer just wants to know how to blow dry their fringe, how to do a low pony, like the basics. And to us, we go, that's so simple and basic. So it's really identifying who's your audience. And it's okay to be 50-50. It's okay to have a split. It's your Instagram. Maybe you're an educator for a brand and you do want to reach out to other hairstylists. And that's okay. But once you identify it, then you can start to think of what type of content do I want to make? And then with that, or do I want to make videos? Do I want to do static images? I call it the one shot, right? Where it makes you stop the scroll. Then once you can identify that, then the next level for me is, what's the voice and tone that you want to project to the brand? Do you want to be joyful, happy, the expert? And once you can go through that list, then the next step after that is, what's your color scheme? Because colors have their own psychology. And it doesn't mean that everybody has to have yellow hair, right, in your picture, but maybe just like you, Olivia, you have like neutrals and, you know, those mauves and different pinks. And what does that mean? So I think when you can answer those three top questions, it just makes it easier and easier to identify what you're going to share with the audience. And the bottom line is, it has to give value. Why should they follow you? And then lastly, I'm just going to end on, and this is something that you taught me, Olivia, is the Pinterest board. You know, go and create your Pinterest board on what attracts you, and you'll start to narrow that theme and that branding down for yourself.
Yes, the Pinterest advice is always the best. I call it a brand mood board. So don't even think about hair. Don't think about anything. Just start pinning things that you like. Pin clothing design, building design, cars, it doesn't matter. And start to figure out what the common denominator is with texture, with your colors, and then that's how you start to build a brand. So I started to notice that I loved greenery, but I also loved neutrals, I loved iridescence, I loved textures, and now all of a sudden the brand has just developed, and when people see mauves and neutrals and iridescence, they think of you. So awesome, awesome, awesome advice. Lexi, I'm going to throw this one off to you. What would you say? Is it best for people to focus on one social media channel or two or three? What do you do?
So I think it depends on how much bandwidth you have and what you're looking to get out of it. So I don't really think that any of us can do everything well. We can do something really well if we focus on it. But if you're trying to do all the things and be behind the chair and run a salon and have a life, like, you know, I just don't think you should try to do it all personally. With that being said, I think 1 to 2 channels would be appropriate. And personally, I have a podcast, which I consider, you know, like a channel, an outlet. And then I focus on my Instagram, and I don't really do anything else right now because that's all that I can personally manage. And my target customers are there. So I'm hanging out where they want to hang out. For a while, I was trying to do the Facebook thing, and I just realized like we weren't getting the traction. It wasn't working. So I thought I'm just going to put that on the back burner for now and really focus on my Instagram. And it's worked for me. But I think the main thing is knowing what kind of content you like to create and setting yourself up for success by not overwhelming yourself, because it can be a full-time job. I mean, it can really become quite hefty in terms of commitment. So you just got to make sure that you don't take on too much.
Yes, I totally agree. And just figuring out what that streamlined process is in the mix of all of it, right? So like my best advice is I always take Mondays and I sit down and I say, what's the goal? What's the strategy? And my best advice for somebody is to say, you know, if you want to talk about extensions that month, how are you going to get more extension clients? What are the breakdowns? Can you show them how to take care of their extensions in a content, in a video, in a reel, right? Can you explain to them what the maintenance is? Or so when you kind of break it down and digest it like that, and you get at the ideas, you create captions for them, and then you find photos. And now all of a sudden you have your week strategy or even your month strategy. And maybe you don't have time on Wednesdays to spend an hour figuring out, because at the end of the day, when we're having a strategy meeting with ourselves, it's like having a trainer. You know what to do at the gym, right? Like, but you want somebody to be there to hold you accountable. So like you have to hold yourself accountable, but to be creative, you have to be well caffeinated. The weather has to be good. No one needs to bother you. Like, I mean, it really takes a lot of brain power to concentrate on being creative. So when you're trying to restart that lawnmower every 3, 4, or 5 days to be creative, it's not going to be the best version of you because you're trying too hard. You get what I mean? So as you're moving forward, creating it one day and then setting aside that maybe 15 to 20 minutes to post that caption, to post that reel, to post that photo, that video, whatever, and then spend the rest of your time engaging. That's my best advice moving forward. So leading on to that question, Britt, I'm going to throw this off to you. How do you increase your ROI on social, ROI, return on investment, on social, and make sure people convert or book with you?
Yeah, so there's this idea from Kevin Kelly called 1,000 True Fans. And I really started to think about that. Like, I can only take so many clients when it comes to working behind the chair. Actually, as a creative, I did the math. I was so proud of myself, but I did the math. And at the time, working 3 days a week, I could only take 120 clients. There was no way, like if they're on a 6-week cycle for, whatever their thing is, there's no way I can fit any more bodies into that chair. So for me, my idea is stop trying to grow to celebrity status with the numbers on your account on social media, and invest on the local connections that can sit their butt in your chair. Have the DMs, reach out, send them the link. Hey, you can book here. Like, make them feel like they can trust you because you're a real person. And I feel like, to me, that's besides like, let's talk Facebook ads, that kind of strategy. I feel like the real return on investment is we spend so much time curating this feed. We make it beautiful. We post to what we want to do. I mean, we're not posting little kids' haircuts if we want to be like high-end luxury balayage artists. Like, so we have to make sure that we are curating this feed to attract that perfect client. And the way that we make that conversion where they say, I want to be in your chair, is you make them feel loved. You make them feel seen and heard. You understand that that girl effed her hair up, and that you're going to take care of her, and that it's going to be okay. And then you ask for the sale. You have a call to action. You say, hey, here's my Genbook link. Why don't you book online with me right now? And so I think you've got to really ask for the sale in the beginning, because people are afraid. And so I think if you have the courage to say, hey, I want to take care of you, I got your back, girlfriend, that gives them just enough confidence to make that switch. Because how many of us have had that new client in the chair that's terrified, but they read your reviews, or so-and-so told them that you are amazing. And so they have that level of trust, even though they've never really experienced what you're all about. So for me, it's about building that trust factor, not necessarily building the number of followers.
Beautiful. Could not have said it any better. Thank you for that, Britt. So for you guys that are listening in right now, I'm going to ask one more question for the entire group, and then we'll have a little Q&A session just to wrap it up. So I'm going to start right now with Cynthia. What role did social media play in your business during this past year?
Wow. Well, I think the past year with, pre the global pandemic, our, business was really busy. And then once everybody kind of shut down, quote unquote, it went times 10, in the sense that digital, everybody is now on their phones and on, watching television on the laptop, and they were home. And so the benefit is, it got people used to Zoom. It got people used to now being on social or watching lives. And so I think that's changed our culture for the better, in the sense of, digital space, that people are probably not going to go back to work. Many people are, because they realize they can do it from home, or maybe they're more effective. I know for myself, I used to drive to LA, to San Diego, to Orange County. And I ask myself, how did I drive? And I have so many Zoom meetings, like, right? It's like Zoom. How did I even get in a car before? I don't even understand. So I think it has changed the culture dramatically for sure. And, I think this is the place to be, is digital and social media.
Awesome. So that is such a great answer, Cynthia. I'm going to shoot over to Lexi. Same question. What role did social media play in your business during this past year?
Oh my gosh, it saved my buns. It was huge. As a salon owner, we went from having a brick and mortar business to only having an online business. And social media was the vehicle that allowed us to communicate with our clients, that allowed us to, I laugh and say I felt like a shampoo drug dealer. like, you know, selling retail at the salon, connecting with our clients in the parking lot, like doing all these things that I never in a million years would have thought that I would have done. But we did it all because social media allowed us to connect with our clients. And I consider, you know, email marketing a kind of social media in essence. And so we used it all. And then as a business coach, it was amazing because it's a platform that you have to connect with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And so I was able to really lean in and serve our community in the best way that I could and knew how, and was able to really build some beautiful relationships, some friendships. And I think the same thing comes full circle when we're talking about being behind the chair. Like, you have thousands and thousands of people at your fingertips. I don't think I don't think it will always be as accessible as it is right now. And so I think it's really important to recognize that and try to make it work for you.
Yes, good answer. And Britt, what about you? What role did social media play in your business during this past year? Unmute.
Yeah, my bad. As you guys can probably tell, I'm all about creating deep connections and real intimate connections. And it really started with having clients that I didn't vibe with in my chair, and like understanding I have a choice as to who I want to work with. And so for me, creating that, like, almost, I mean, my clients are my family, and I'm sure you guys feel that way too. Obviously there's a certain level of boundary, but beyond that boundary, there's a deep connection. And so for me, I use social media to keep that connection alive. A lot of my clients were terrified throughout this process of last year, and the stress really got to them. And that allowed me to step in as a coach and a healer to share some of my other gifts that weren't maybe styling their hair and doing some balayage, but talking them through meditation and yoga and helping them to like get a grasp on their anxiety. And so for me, it just like Lexi was saying, it's like that bridge. So like your clients can understand like there's other options in how we can serve you, because we are creative and innovative, and we're shifting with the times to be able to adapt to what is necessary. And I think a lot of us here, you know, if we're still working behind the chair, we're thinking of ways on how can we monetize our wisdom and what we've learned in a way to create more income for ourselves, because we do tap out at a certain level as a stylist. And so I think this gave the opportunity for us to see what was needed in the community. And for me, that was shifting to like, oh, I need to teach woo-woo hairdressers how to protect their energy. And I would have never known that had we not used social media to communicate like, oh my God, I'm stressed out. Holy smokes, this is so weird not having clients, and like using it as a place to like talk and tell your truths and be vulnerable. And I think the more people were showing up as their authentic self and sharing, you know, like, here's what's happening, it gave us the opportunity to see where the holes were and fill them, because that's what we are. We're creative and we're innovative, and we're not going to sit back and cry about it. We're going to figure out how can we move forward and what good can we do. If we can't do your hair, what other good can we do?
I love that. And a key word that sticks out to me was shifting. When it came down to it, and I didn't have my client sitting in my chair to do foiling videos on, and I didn't have my assistant recording me doing things, I said to myself, I go, I still need to make content. I still love making content. I come from a videography background. For those of you guys who don't know, I actually went to school for videography, and then I got my hair license. And then once Instagram came out, it was the perfect storm. And that's actually why I teach social media, in order to be providing information for the people that may not know that kind of aspect of video. But I actually, during this time, I shifted my content a lot. And there was one thing that I noticed, I was actually getting more clients by making consumer videos. Because when, you know, Cynthia calls it your buckets, like, I love that word. Like, what bucket are you trying to live in? And for me, in the very beginning of time, I made consumer videos all day long. Basically, consumer video means me doing hair on myself or makeup, right? And then I started working for Cosmoprof, and I went cold turkey and educated, right? But then I started to realize, like, I miss educating mass, right? So I now live in this prosumer world where I create content for everyone. So whether it's my hair hacks, my hair myths, tips, tricks, no matter what it is, I realize that I can make let's just say, I can make 6 hair hack videos in one day instead of one long color correction that doesn't even cater to my client anyways. And it's me, myself, and I. and it's much less editing, right? So how are we going to work smarter than harder with the most and the maximum amount of results? Okay. So leading on to that, girls, I have enjoyed this session so much. I want to just kind of finalize with one last piece of advice. Cynthia, let's get started with you.
Mine is just do it. Many times we think over and over, we're planning, and all those things are 100% good. You'll be more successful if you're planning and strategic. But you have to, that little voice in your head that's making you say that you're not worthy, or you're not cute enough, or you don't have as many years under your belt. Just put it to the side, put it in the closet, get rid of that voice, and just do it.
Get over yourself and go viral. Lexi, what about you?
I love that, Cynthia. So I think it comes down to making sure that you know who you're talking to, and also just come to everything that you do with a mindset of serving and with solutions. So everything should be solution minded. Show up, help people. I mean, that's what we love to do behind the chair. Like, we're helpers. That's what we do. And so help them with small things, with big things, and just make sure that everything provides a solution that you share online.
I love that. And Britt, what about you?
My advice is to be yourself and to raise your prices.
Love it. Love it. Well, we're actually going to bring India back on. Girls, it has been so amazing. India has a few things that she wants to add in right now. Hello, my dear. How are you?
Oh, that was so inspiring. I'm just soaking up all of this amazing advice from all of you guys. So great to listen to these amazing experts. Yeah, we have had a lot of questions in from social media, so I can start to reel a few of these off, and Olivia can take them around. The one that we got upvoted was, how many hours a week should you work in the beginning when you're starting out? I feel like I'm still in the saying yes to everything phase. Any time management tips?
Just jump right in, girls. If you have something, just jump in.
I'll start. And again, this is something that I really saw Olivia do best, is she schedules a day of content creation. And sometimes if it piles up, maybe it's 2 days. And this could be a full-time job, just doing content creation, right? Because it's not just creating the content. You have to plan it, figure it out, do it, and then edit it. There's and then post it. So I would say to carve out time, a half a day, a full day, where you can create.
Any other advice, girls?
Yeah, I think the other thing that needs to be blocked off is self-care. Time for self-care, time for prioritizing your health and well-being, your physical body, your emotions, and just having fun. Like, we're creatives. We like to play. We like to create in other areas. So don't forget to include the hobbies and the time for you. I think that's just so important.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's also hard because sometimes you see things and we get wrapped up in this hustle culture kind of, where you got to go, and you better take every single client. And if you're new, you better earn it. And that's some of that old school mentality stuff, I think still lingers. And for me, what I would say is you must make sure you just honor your priorities. So if you're going to be off a day because you're not scheduled to be at the salon, but you're just sitting around moping and you are happier being at the salon, go and learn. It's okay to work outside of your schedule, as long as you're still honoring, what Britt said, your life and your hobbies and yourself and fun and all of these things. So just know what's important to you, and know that if you do tiptoe into working a little bit more than what, maybe you thought you were doing because you want to get ahead and you're willing to work hard, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you know that you still are moving in the direction of where you want to go while honoring yourself.
I love that. And I think one thing to add on to is we need to remember our small victories, okay? Because social media, sometimes you feel like you're never getting ahead, or you got your eyes like this and you're looking at everyone else's page. You need to go like this and solely focus on what is at hand. If you booked a client from Instagram that week, that's a victory. Because if that person is a new client and they're spending $500 every 4 weeks, I mean, that's a significant difference in your all over paycheck from one client. So don't be so hard on yourself when you feel like you're not really getting up. You have to really focus on what the most important thing is. And at the end of the day, Instagram is to make money. It is. Otherwise, why are you doing it? You want to have that ability to monetize online while building a brand. It's like multi-level marketing. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. The only difference with Instagram is sometimes part-time ability to handle it doesn't always equal part-time results. There is a lot more push when it comes to it, but it's all about what you want and what your why is and what your intentions provide. Next question, India.
All right, this one kind of segues into it pretty nicely, but we've had a lot of questions about what to post on social media. What % of the time are you putting out promotional content, and what % of the time are you serving pure beauty content?
Cynthia, you want to take that one?
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
like,
we'll just
I
kinda
got
go
this.
around the same circle.
Yeah, I definitely can. I recommend that you don't want to post 20%, more than 20% of your content on your grid should be promotional. If anything, it should be less. It should be like 10%. So if you look at your Instagram grid, there's usually 15 tiles, 12 to 15 tiles at one time. Now, we'll call that the bird's eye view. When you look at that, you want to sprinkle in something. You don't want it to be the majority. And many times I'll see it's 80% promotional, and they wonder, people go, well, how come I'm not growing? People don't like to be sold. They love to shop, and they're shopping when they see your services through video, through static image. That is still shopping. Leave the promotion for the content, for the actual copy, for the caption.
Oh no, is Olivia frozen?
I think Olivia might be
I
frozen.
think so.
Okay, well, we've got another little one about social, so I might as well just jump straight into that one too, unless anybody wants to follow on from that one.
Go ahead.
Oh, we got you back. We had a question about hashtags. Is it true that we need to change up our hashtags to stay up with the algorithm, or can you use the same ones again and again?
I'll start on this one. So yes, with hashtags, a couple of things. You want to make them relevant to the actual post. So I break down hashtags into 6 different categories, and some of those categories you're going to keep as staples. Like maybe it's hashtag Los Angeles hair or San Diego salon. Those are going to be things that you're not going to remove because it's your target audience. However, if that post is featuring red hair or brown hair or balayage or root melt, you want to add those custom hashtags or those unique hashtags to your hashtag. So that way it's relevant and the algorithm will identify that. If you copy and paste the same over and over, it's almost gonna hide them. So hope that helps.
Cynthia, do you put them in the first comment or you put them in the caption itself? Does that matter?
Yeah, great question, Britt. So a couple of things, we split them. So we do some in the actual caption and some in the comment box. However, we also start to see trends. So if we notice like, wow, we normally get 100 likes a post and today we only got 60, something's off, then we start to identify. And then the next post, we might switch them up and put them all in the caption or all in the comment box just to monitor and see if that's what it is. So if something ever looks off, it's okay to switch it up, but the majority of the time we split them for both the caption and the comment box.
I have another. I feel like I could ask you 100 questions, Cynthia. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to ask another question. So you're talking to a lot of creatives, and I know there's a lot of us that still have that analytical numbers mind, but to the ones that don't, what's the metric that you're looking for on what you would categorize successful posting on social media? If you're talking specifically numbers, business, like that kind of strategy.
So in relative to like likes or comments, would
Correct.
you say?
Yeah.
It's really relative. So here's a good example. We might see someone that has 1 million followers and they have 0 community engagement. And that's just because as they built those 1 million followers, they never asked their audience questions. They never had conversations. I met an influencer once who had like 600,000 followers and she said she didn't even check her DMs ever. And that's a huge missed opportunity. So yes, you can have 1 million followers, but you have to have an engaged audience, and it varies. And so what you guys can do, if you want to send me a DM on saga.haus, I have a little like a little calculator thing that I measure. So it calculates how many followers you have based on how many likes, and then you can figure out your unique equation on what brands will look for that you have a good audience. And I'll send it to you, Britt, as well.
Can you guys see why I love Cynthia so much? India, do we have any more questions?
Yes, we do. We've got quite a few, but I think this one probably be worth going over. What's your advice for pros that are love their artistry, but not so much running of the business, or any time management tips, anything like that?
Britt or Lexi, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. So I think that for a lot of us, we don't love the business side of things. Like, we come to this profession, into this industry, because we're artists. And the most important thing is to outsource stuff that you don't like, and to use technology as much as you can. That's like a number one. You've got to use a booking app. If you can get some help, like in terms of to an actual human, great. But technology can do almost everything that we need to do to organize our business, and to really take away a lot of those tasks that are frankly like not in our wheelhouse, not our best skills. At least I've found working with so many hairdressers and beauty professionals. And then also to just make sure that everything that you're doing is, and again, I know that I've said this, but to be intentional about what you must do. And there's a lot of things that we do that are not musts. And so it's really about like, why am I doing this? Is this to make me happy, or is this to make me make money? And if it doesn't fit in one of those two buckets, I say don't do it. You know, you have to be clear about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and then figure out the easiest way. Success leaves clues. So if you want to mimic a business and have it be like Olivia's, like, look at and see what she's done, like Britt, like Cynthia, like me. We all have left clues because we're figuring it out as we go, just like every other human on this planet. So you've really just got to figure out what you want to do, and then find somebody that's done it and try to replicate their steps. Reach out, say, how'd you do that? I mean, people for the most part are an open book, and will share.
Okay, awesome. Britt, do you want to add anything else, or you think she wrapped that up pretty well?
No, I think that's it. Just like, don't do what you don't want to do. I live my life by what my husband and I call the 7 or above rule. And we rate everything on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, 1 being awful. If it's not a 7 or above, why would we do it? We have the choice. And that is the power that we've forgotten. And I mean, so many of us are probably independent hairdressers as well. So we're in charge of running the business, or in charge of the branding and the marketing and the customer service and all the things. So if that's the case, then why not craft it to be the most intentional, perfectly aligned life and business that you've ever wanted? I mean, I didn't go to college so that I could create my own business because I didn't like the way that other businesses were operating at the time that I got out of beauty school. It's like, this isn't how I feel like a salon should be run. And so I felt like I needed to do it for myself. And so I think it's just stay true to who you are and don't do the things that don't bring you joy. Like, life's too short. My first business card for my salon was, life's too short to look like shit.
That is amazing.
And if you weren't my client, like, if you were offended, you weren't my client. And that was the fastest way for me to weed it out. There was no Instagram when I started, y'all. Like, I was passing out flyers at the mall.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that, Britt. That's amazing. Maybe that's just going to be mine right now. Maybe I'll just take that from you. I appreciate that. Girls, this has been so awesome. Like, I feel so inspired. I could run through a brick wall right now. India, you want to just kind of wrap this up at the very end?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. This has been amazing. I can't wait to reshare some of these insights and everything. Follow us at Genbook on Instagram to keep up with the awesome tips and education and content. And if you guys want to just shout out your hashtags, they should be in your other side little corner. But if you just want to let people know where to follow you, that would be great.
Yes, for sure. And last thing, guys, we got to take a selfie. All right. So everybody smile. 1, 2, 3. Cute. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, girls. Thank you, Genbook. Thank you, India. You're amazing. All right, we're out.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.